Welcome, adventurer, to a new adventure begins. In the last episode, I gave you a brief introduction to the series, explained where the game started and the controversy surrounding the game. I also gave you a brief overview of how to play the game. In this episode, I'm going to explain to you of how to create your character, the one that you will be bringing with you on your adventure. So grab some ale, maybe some jerky, and sit down in a dark, dank tavern with me as I lead you on your next adventure. By now, I hope that you've had a thought about the character that you want to create. A large barbarian with flowing golden locks, brandishing a great sword capable of bringing down an evil sorcerer. Kind of like He-Man.
By the power of Grayskull!
Or maybe you want to be a sneaky elven rogue who wants to keep to the shadows, pinching gold from anyone who passes by, slicing the throats of any bandits who get in your way, skulking back into the darkness. Fine, that can easily be done. D&D is about exploring the dark recesses of your imagination, dusting off the large tomes of possibility. If you can imagine it, chances are it can be done. Let's have a look at how we do it. First things first, we need to look at the player handbook. Whether you've forked out the £40 for the hard copy, or maybe you've just downloaded it from D&D Beyond, you will need this to help you create your character. We need to choose a race. What kind of creature do you want to be? A human, an elf, or do you want to relive the scenes from Lord of the Rings and be a hobbit? Or, well, you could be a halfling. Each race is more than just what you look like. Each race comes with different perks. The base races are human, elf, wood, high or dark, half-elf, half-human, dragonborn, a humanoid dragon, dwarf, tiefling, almost like a devil, halfling, smaller than a dwarf, half-orc, half-human, half-orc, and gnome. There are a whole host of other races out there that can come included in all different kinds of books, but these are the ones that you can choose from the outset. Each race comes with its own perks. For example, certain races can see in the dark, while others can't. What languages you can speak or understand depend on what race you are, and even your movement. I'll cover all of this later on. Once you've chosen your race, for the purpose of this video, we're going to choose a human. It is now time for you to choose your class, what role you want to play. And there's several starter classes, but also many classes which have been added to the various books. But always check with your DM if they would be happy for you to choose these different classes. The base classes are Barbarian, basically the tank, very strong and very powerful. The Bard, able to use their musical prowess to cast magic. It's usually used as a healer or a support role. A Cleric is a magic user, usually used as a healer and uses divine magic to cause as much damage as possible and support the party. Druids, a magic user that is nature-based, using nature to power their magic. A Fighter, they are the most versatile classes in all of D&D. Fighters are able to use all manners of weapons, and they're usually soldiers. Monks, they're basically Jackie Chan, but with magic. It's probably the best way to describe this class. Paladin, which is a knight which follows a god, and that is where they get their magical abilities from. Ranger, basically like a hunter of prey, bandits and more, a very skilled archers and hunters. A rogue, which is essentially your assassin, keeping to the shadows, using stealth as their primary weapon. A sorcerer is primarily magic based, and magic is everything about what a sorcerer is. A warlock is like a sorcerer, but they get their powers from otherworldly entities. Wizards are again powered by magic, but they tend to hone their skills, usually with a mentor or studying, which will allow them to learn new skills, etc. So for the purposes of our character, we're going to go with the rogue. keep to the shadows and use our skills of deception and our agility to become a very powerful foe. Now that we've chosen our race and now our class, we need to fine-tune our character with a name, any physical characteristics, and then a backstory. These are all superficial to our character, and also entirely up to the player to decide. So it's important for you to have a think about how you want your character to look. And now it's that you would decide if you're going to do a voice for your character, or how your character sounds. Once the physical characteristics are decided, you now have to write a backstory. Usually this would involve something major that would warrant your character going on the current adventure. It's very important that you give your backstory to your DM prior to your adventure starting so that they can decide if they want to include it on the adventure. Maybe a person from your past appears in the local tavern, or something you did in the past will affect the fate of a village. Remember though, that the backstory is entirely your choice and will come from your imagination, and it'll be very useful for you to remember your backstory for role-playing purposes. Usually people tend to like their backstory to consist of something bad happening, such as their family ousting them because of magical powers, or their whole village is burnt to the ground by the big bad, and that is their reason for going on the adventure. Whatever it is, it's yours. You decide and don't let anyone change it to fit their narrative. As a player, it's your job to create a thrilling character and make it your own. It's up to the DM to make it work. So, let's summarize. You've chosen your race. You've chosen your class, and we went for rogue. We have our name, our physical characteristics. Our rogue is called Brian, and he stands at 5'8" with long black hair tied in a tight ponytail. He wears a dark hooded cloak and a leather armor. You also have your backstory. Brian's is that he outgrew his orphanage and fell in with the thieves guild of his town of Button. He was trained to work in the shadows, and now he's been let loose on the world. But he still has that innate feeling to steal at any opportunity. Now, let's have a look at the character sheet and start to build our character. This is your character sheet. This piece of paper is one of, or maybe the most important thing that you will play in D&D. This is your character and everything you need. And I totally understand it may feel very daunting, and I'm going to go through it with you so you won't need to be so overwhelmed with it. We'll begin at the top of the sheet. It's here that you put your character name, their class, their role. You'll also find their alignment here. It's here that you'll choose your morality. Will you be good, lawful, neutral? Entirely up to you. You will also take note of your experience for when you level up. Next, we'll move down and we'll see your armor class, or AC. This is the number required for a creature to hit you. This is based on your class and whether you're wearing armor or a shield. This can change throughout the campaign. Next is your initiative. There's a bonus for when you roll to fight to see where the running order you will be. Again, this is class based, and your movement speed usually 30 feet, but again, this is class based. Next is your hit points, or HP. This is usually low for level 1, but it will change throughout the campaign as you level up. It's based on your constitution skill. The starting number is 8, and you add your constitution modifier to get your health number. Your hit dice is again class based. And death saves. When your health drops below 0, you have to roll a d20 to survive. If you roll above 10, it's a save. Below that, it's a fail. 3 saves and you're awake with 1 HP. 3 fails and your character dies. But we'll talk about that a wee bit later on. Looking to the left of the page, we have your ability points. They are strength, how strong you are. Dexterity, how dexterous you are. Constitution, your character's fortitude, how much pain you can handle or sickness. Intelligent, how smart your character is. Wisdom is your perception of the world around you. And finally, charisma, how charismatic your character is. Every class will need high abilities than others. You'll find that information in the player handbook for each class. It's at this point we need to work out our skill points, and we do this in multiple ways. We can roll for them, and we can buy points, or we can use the pre-made point selection. I personally find that using rolls is much easier for me, but it's entirely up to you. For buying points, each ability starts at 8 and you have 27 points to assign each ability. The pre-made points are as follows: 15, 14, 13, 12, 10, and 8. For rolling, you need to roll 4d6 to remove the lowest number and add the 3 remaining dice together for that number. For the purposes of the example, we're going to roll. So, for our rolling for our checks, we take 4d6. We roll the 4d6, we take away the lowest number. We need to do this 6 times in order to get our number for our skills. So, we'll take the first. So we're going to take away the lowest number, that's 2. So we've got 9, 6 and 5 is 11, plus 4 is 15. So you always make a note of this on a spare bit of paper. So we got 15. Our next one. So there we've got 9 and 10, 11. So we'll take that one away. That's going to be 11. And then we roll again. We got 12 and we've got 15. So we take that one away. So that's 15 again. So 3 more times. So this one is really, really bad. We take away the 1 and you've got 4 and you've got 3. So that's 7. We do this 2 more times. So because we've got 3 2s here and a 6, we take away one of the 2s and we've got 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 on that one. And then we've got 1 more that we have to do. Again, another really bad roll. We've got 2 1s, so we're going to take away one of the 1s. And we've got 5 and we've got 6. So they're not great rolls, to be honest, for our character. But being completely honest, you have to stick with the rolls that you've got. So when you're finished rolling, you've got the numbers that you need to use for your skill points. You then choose where you're going to assign these skills. Which ones you think your character is going to need the most. We're going to do that now.
Once you have your ability score, you need your modifiers. This table will help you out. The next section is skills. These are the skills that you are proficient in, and you add your ability modifiers to the relevant skills based on their category. These will change as you level up. Then we move over to your weapons. These cover what weapons you have equipped on your character. Every player will start with base weapons that they're proficient with, but again these will change throughout the campaign, as you find and buy new weapons throughout your journey. Here you add the name of the weapon, the attack bonus you get for that weapon, and the amount of damage that that weapon makes. For example, the rogue is proficient with simple weapons such as swords or rapiers. So for a rapier, it would be 1d8 piercing damage. So you would roll an 8-sided die to see how much damage you do. So the name of the weapon, your strength modifier as your attack bonus, plus your proficiency bonus as you are proficient with the sword. You also add your spells and their modifiers here. All information can be found in the player handbook. Moving down, we have your inventory. Any tools or weapons that you're not using go in here, and this will change throughout the campaign. Currency depends on your DM. In my campaign, I only use gold because it's easier, but there are 5 different currencies: copper, silver, electrum, gold, and platinum. The dominations are explained in the player handbook. Other proficiencies and languages is where you put your languages that you understand and anything that you're proficient in. English in D&D is known as common, and it's up to the DM, but usually that's what everyone will speak. But other races have their own languages, and you may need to study or learn the language. Then this section is for personality, but this is the player's choice based on the character that you have made. So now you have your character. You are now ready to start your adventure. Remember that all the information is described in the player handbook, which you can get hard copy or use D&D Beyond to help you out. I hope this episode has helped you create your character. Join me next time when we will go over the basics of playing D&D. Thanks so much for watching, adventurers, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.